All right, you guys, let's go to headline number 3. According to CNBC, Macy's is overhauling its website and planning to train its employees to be personal stylists. The proposed redesign, quote, includes personalized website landing pages for online shoppers based on their buying history.
Whoa.
Also, an upgraded dashboard to show loyalty members how many rewards points they've accumulated, upcoming orders, and unique style recommendations, end quote. There's going to be an elevated digital experience, according to Rich Lennox, Macy's chief brand officer, saying that there will be simplified global navigation, a refreshed modern search bar, and personalized customer dashboards, he went on to add. In addition, CNBC also said that Macy's will train its employees to help customers one-on-one with style choices. Certain employees will be enlisted into its style crew. Sounds cool.
Yeah, right.
Where they will be paid a commission for helping to rack up sales as part of their participation in their program and for any social media posts that lead to business. Mike, let's go to you first on this one. What are your thoughts? If you can't tell, Chris and I have plenty on this one, but what are your thoughts here?
Well, it's funny, staying in line with the St. Patrick's Day. I feel like I'm now going to be like the angry little drunk.
That's great. Do it, please. Oh my God, go into full character on this one because it's totally deserved.
I mean, so I think one of you just said this. It sounds cool, but at the end of the day, it's sort of to use a slang term, it's kind of a yawn. I mean,
yeah,
I really don't even think it's that interesting, to tell you the truth. I think it ignores some of the fundamental challenges that Macy's has had in their business, both from a brick and mortar standpoint, but also from an e-com standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's interesting, when Macy's first came online with e-com 10, 12, 15 years ago, they were by far an industry leader as it related from a percent to total of their brick and mortar business that they were doing. All of the other department stores used them as best practice. Right. When I read that article and saw the percent that they're at today, I think it was 32 or 35%. It was very underwhelming, especially coming out of COVID. Would have loved to have seen that be higher. So I think there's other fundamental things that they should be doing. And this just seems like window dressing. I also think the challenge is, how do you really manage this? You know, I think that the fragmentation of stylists and the dress code thing was interesting too, because that gets very fragmented. And then what does that do for your brand messaging as well as Macy's? That leads to, how are they going to continue to differentiate themselves? If you have this interface that the stylist could be anybody, then they kind of lose the differentiation of the Macy's brand as well.
Yeah. And there's another point too on that too, that I want to get your guys' thoughts on specifically, because I think you guys, are closer to this day to day than I am. But my thoughts in general, my thoughts are the same as yours. Like, I'm like, this is not anything cool. This is like just stuff you should be doing in general.
Yeah.
The part that I have more of an issue with is actually the service idea. I hate that they're going in this direction because I don't think their business model fundamentally supports it in terms of how Macy's has traditionally operated. And that's what I want to get your thoughts on.
A little bit.
Yes.
Because your margin structure is defined by how much service you provide, and your margins have to be able to calibrate for that.
Yep.
And so when you think about it, like, if they're going to do this means they need to hire better people. They need to invest in the technology to make them better at service. And I would argue that Macy's doesn't have that in their business model right now. That's going to be a very incremental cost for them to do. And my favorite example of this, which I've talked about on the show before, and it's perfect for today, is about 2 or 3 years ago, I went into a Macy's and I asked somebody, where can I find St. Patrick's Day clothing for my kids to wear to school? And the person literally said to me, the sales associate literally said to me, what's St. Patrick's Day? So like, that's a huge jump if you're going to take your organization to that level to provide this type of style service, which they're going after, like the Stitch Fixes of the world. That's what they're trying to get into the marketplace here from a press standpoint.
Yeah.
So David, Michael, it sounds like you agree.
How many Guinness did you have before you asked her what's?
No, this was like 2 weeks beforehand, but
I think you hit the nail
that day. No, I don't know, but no, go Michael. Yeah.
Yeah. You hit a nail on the head, because speaking from experience as a retailer and as a wholesaler, there was always an issue with Macy's customer service, and that's going back 20 years ago.
Right.
So it's never really been an embedded fundamental accelerator for them, if you will. So now they're trying to take it to a whole other level, and it's not accounted for in their margin, and it's not accounted for either in their HR circle, if you will. They don't attract, they don't know how to recruit, and they also don't know how to cultivate that customer service or a high level of customer service like a Nordstrom does. And I think Nordstrom is a perfect best case example of the ability for them to clientele, their ability to really read and react to their clients' needs is terrific. And Macy's just has never really played in that game, and it's never really been something that they excel at. So now how are they going to do this online? It seems difficult.
Yeah, it's a great point. They're the mass market department store, which is why they've been getting killed by off price too. And so to your point, they don't have a right to win, in this space with this strategy, in my opinion. But Ann, what's your color you'd add here?
I want to say, like, if Macy's did figure out a way to do this, if they could do this, I do think it's a smart move. I think going one-to-one, having content on your own website, offering one-to-one engagement, if they could do this, it would require a huge shift like you and Michael are talking about. But my bigger question is, how are you driving traffic to Macy's? How are you getting this next generation to go there? Even if you did this huge overhaul, I think you still have a huge hurdle, again, that requires tons of time, money, and resources in order to get the Gen Z customer like on your page.
And that's a great point too, because the other announcement they made this week is they've poached the private label design talent from Target.
Yeah.
Which that sounds like, for all intents and purposes, is the same strategy that Bed Bath & Beyond deployed to answer that question. But as we've seen and talked about on the show ad nauseum, that's not a strategy that gets people in the stores, because people will still just buy that product online more and more over time as well. So I don't know, David, what's your final thoughts here?
So I couldn't agree more with what everyone has said. It sounds like, I don't think Macy's truly knows their customer, to be honest. And to Mike's point, Nordstrom does a little bit better, but Nordstrom's bought Trunk Club and failed and had to roll it back in.
Not easy.
So even in a mass kind of department store name like Nordstrom's that is famous for customer service, they've struggled with this. So the notion that Macy's is going to be able to do this at scale successfully, I just find hard to believe.
Yeah, I think Dave brings up a really good point. There's a generational shift, and it's almost like 2 generations that have shifted away from the department store model. The department store model fundamentally was always successful because it was very broad in nature. And now they need to be very specific to cater to Gen Z's needs and wants. And the whole department store arena is not really doing a great job of that.
Quick take, you guys. What do you do here? I mean, is there anything that Macy's can do right now to save themselves?
They've got to get more specialized. You walk into a Macy's, you have no idea what it stands for. So to do that, though, there's such a large entity with such a large, broad SKU category classification count. Very hard to understand or see a vision of how they can get to a much more specialized place. I actually thought it was interesting, the whole exercise that they did of, should we split off e-com away from brick and mortar? Should we figure out a way to monetize the real estate investments that we have in brick and mortar? So there's something there, but from a front end retail standpoint, it's going to be tough for them.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like,
I think the modernization of the website, it makes total sense, but I mean, I did personalization engagement 7 years ago.
Yeah,
so that feels like late. I think they need to, they've got to modernize and try. But then the notion of anchor categories or departments, I don't know what they stand for. I think at some point they're going to have to figure out what they stand for and shout it, because right now it's everything from furniture to accessories, pretzels. Right? It's just it's everything.
Right. Wetzel's Pretzels is a good thing. I mean, we had a big debate on whether they should do this when you guys were last on the show too. And no, I think, I mean, it's funny. We've got a lot of window dressing headlines. I think Michael used in the earlier, story. We got a lot of window dressing headlines here this week, which is fascinating to hear. But yeah, just sounds like more evidence that, Macy's got a tough road ahead.